In this video, I'm going up to Sprague Lake in Rocky Mountain National Park to try and see the night sky and maybe the sunrise as well.
It is 2 a.m. I've had probably about 2.5 hours of sleep, so I am feeling excellent.
This is at 24 millimeters, and as you can see in this one, the Milky Way is slipping away to the right as well, so possibly I should have tried the tighter perspective first and then the wider shot. Can I capture an interesting shot at a well-known location? There's only one way to find out. Let's get started.
Okay, it is 2 a.m. I've had probably about 2.5 hours of sleep, so I am feeling excellent. I am on my way up to Sprague Lake in Rocky Mountain National Park. We're going to see if we can get a little bit of Milky Way and a little bit of sunrise and hopefully have a beautiful morning. Let's get started.
Okay, I am up here at Sprague Lake now, at the spot where there's a little pier that reaches out into the lake, if you're familiar with it. There's often a lot of weddings here during the summer. And I'm here to capture a shot that I've had in my mind all the way since last fall when I was out here photographing the Milky Way at the far side of the lake when I was having my first round of testing with the Nikon Z9. And I've loved the way that picture turned out, and I will show that to you right now. But as I was walking back from the far side of the lake that night last fall, I walked past the pier here and I thought, man, that would be a cool shot to have the Milky Way lining up with this pier over the mountains. I'll have to try that sometime soon. And then shortly after that, I got sick and the winter got cold and I stayed sick pretty much all winter long. And so I had never made it back here to try that shot until now. So this is a night where I've been out and about in Colorado during the day. So I came home, got that 2.5 hours of sleep. Didn't want to travel super far from home, so I decided, hey, I'll come back up to Sprague Lake and try out this shot that I've had in my mind since last fall. So here I am. I fired off a couple of test shots that look pretty good, and I'll flip this around and show you my setup here. So tonight I've got the Z6 II with the Sigma 14-24 f2.8 art lens, and again I'm trying out the Skywatcher Star Adventure Pro tracker. So I've got the camera mounted up on that. It's a little bit of an odd setup, as you can see, trying to get the vertical shot here, keeping the tracker oriented north correctly and all that, but I think this is going to work out pretty good. I'll show you the test shots that I tried just a little bit ago. And I hope that shows up decently well here on the pocket. But we've got the pier there. We've got the mountain peaks behind and the Continental Divide, Hallett Peak and Otis Peak and all that, and the Milky Way coming up above that. Now, the core of the galaxy is behind the mountains. You can't really get a shot of the Milky Way that includes the core of the galaxy here at Sprague Lake to have it over the mountains like this. but you can still see a pretty good stretch of it, and it was the same situation with that shot from last fall, and I really do like the way that one turned out. I think this will be a cool shot as well. So even though you can't see the brightest part of the galaxy from here, I still think this is an interesting shot. So I'm going to get everything fired up here and see what I can come away with. Okay, I've got my tracked shot of the Milky Way there. There we go. Now it's going to show up a little bit. So the nice thing about doing this with a tracker is I can get those sky shots much more quickly without having to stack them, because I can shoot at a lower ISO. I did this one for a 90-second exposure. I tried a 2-minute exposure, and the stars look just slightly blobby. So my setup here is probably not quite perfect, but I'm trying to knock this out quickly before it gets light. So I just backed it off to 90 seconds. That looked pretty sharp at f4 and ISO 1600. So I've got the tracked shot, and now I'm going to do the foreground shot to blend with that. Probably a similar exposure, maybe a little longer with a little lower ISO even than that. So I'll get that set up, and then I'll try a different focal length probably, as I have this at 20 millimeters on my 14 to 24. I may throw on the 35 just because I usually enjoy that perspective, and give that a try as well. So I've done a couple versions of this foreground shot. We have this one here, which was shot just by the starlight at a 3-minute exposure at f4 and ISO 800. And then I also tried this shot doing some light painting with my Lume Cube panel mini here, and that was also a 3-minute exposure f4. I dropped the ISO down to 500 for this one just because I was adding a little bit of light. So, I'll have to look at those back on the computer to see which I liked better. They definitely both have their points. I like the soft light of this one just by the starlight, but that light painting does, add a little bit of color to the foreground. I do kind of like that too. So I'm not sure which one I'll go with yet, but whichever one ends up being the shot, I'll show that to you right now. Alright, I think I'm going to switch lenses now and go to my 35 and see what that perspective looks like. I think that could be really interesting. So I'll get that on here and set up again. Okay, I'll give you a look at the test shot that I was doing here. I tried it at 35, and then that was really too tight of a perspective with the Milky Way pushing off to the right. This is at 24 millimeters, and as you can see in this one, the Milky Way is slipping away to the right as well. So possibly I should have tried the tighter perspective first and then the wider shot at 20, but I think I did get a pretty good shot at 20 millimeters, so this night will still be a success, I believe. Although I'm going to miss this tighter perspective, which I usually like a lot, so give me a chance to come back and try it again. So I think I'm done with my Nikon for the Milky Way shots. I'll set up the iPhone here and mess around with that a little bit before we reconfigure and set up for sunrise. All right, it is past 4:30 a.m. now. We are solidly moving into the blue hour, and saw my latest test shot. Even though I'm facing to the west and the sun is coming up behind me to the east, it's definitely impacting my shot. I'm losing definition in the Milky Way now. So I'm going to get all this night sky gear packed up, take the tracker down, go back to the car to switch out some of my gear, and then walk back out to the far side of the lake for sunrise. Sprague Lake is one of my favorite sunrise spots. And we'll see what kind of light we get this morning for that. But I think I got a good 20 millimeter shot. Waited a little bit too long to try the 35 or the 24 to 70 at 30, which was I was doing with those last test shots before it started to brighten up. Maybe I should have tried the tighter shots first, I don't know. But I think I would have run out of time regardless. It's a tricky alignment here with the pier. It moves through pretty quickly. But I think I got a good shot. And we'll get set up for sunrise now. So I'm back to the car. I'm going to reconfigure my gear a little bit. But just an observation. When I got here at 3 o'clock in the morning, there was one other car here in the parking lot, and I don't know where they were at. They may be back in the backcountry camping somewhere or something like that. Did not see them out there on the trail by the lake. Now back here at about 4:50, there is 15 or 20 cars here, and they are just rolling in. So there's going to be lots of people out here around the lake for sunrise. But I'll get together here, get out there and nail down my spot, and it'll definitely be a different experience. It used to be still pretty peaceful out here at sunrise in the morning, even in the summer, but the times, they are changing. It's a popular spot. So I'm over here at the far side of the lake at my favorite sunrise spot. You can see it's definitely getting a light back there behind me, but we're still actually about 40 minutes before sunrise. We'll probably start getting some of that first blush light creeping in here pretty soon. So I'm going to go ahead and get started setting up. Fortunately for all the cars in the parking lot and all the people I've seen heading out on the trail, there's nobody back here at my favorite spot yet. I don't imagine it'll stay that way, but I'll enjoy the quiet for as long as I can get it, especially with the stream rushing out of the lake right here next to me. So we'll get set up and see what we can get this morning. Hardly a cloud in the sky, so there's not much interesting from that perspective, but maybe that'll give us some good alpenglow on the mountains across the lake. We'll get set up. Okay, we're definitely starting to get light now. Although it's not that golden alpenglow light yet, but you can actually see the mountains across the lake now with the pocket camera. Give you a look at the composition on the back of my Nikon here. I'm zoomed into about 40 millimeters to really focus the attention on those peaks. Hoping for a reflection on the lake, although there's just enough ripples going on that it's shutting that down at the moment. We had a decent one a little bit ago though, so I'm hoping that this will settle down and give us a reflection. Otherwise I might go even a little bit tighter with that shot. But this is my morning view at Sprague Lake. It is about 5:35, so we've got roughly about 15 more minutes. Just waiting for that sunrise light to hit those mountain peaks back there behind me. Still quiet and peaceful over here. Nobody's wandered across the lake this far. If we get a good sunrise, though, they'll be missing out. We'll keep waiting. As you can see the far side of the lake where I'm at continues to have enough of a breeze to make it really ripply. Normally this is the composition I would like, but you can see farther out there back where that pier is, that part of the lake is still, and I might be able to get a reflection over there. So even though I like this composition better, we're running out of time for this reflection to come back. So I think I'm going to head over there and see if I can get a reflection shot there before the sun comes up and we get that alpenglow. I'm going to hurry back that direction. Well, I repositioned to the pier so I can get the reflection shot. I also see where all the people are that came out for the sunrise. For some reason they're on the far side of the lake where they can't see the mountains. I've never really understood that. You get a little bit of pink glow on these clouds back here earlier. It was definitely not that impressive. At least looking this direction, we have a bit of alpenglow on these mountain peaks back here. Not as spectacular today as I've seen some other times, but still a nice morning. And I'll give you my shot there with the little bit of glow on the mountains. We've got the reflection in the lake and trying to get as tight as possible to get rid of distractions. Although, as you may be able to see on the pocket camera, there's a ton of people in the shot standing on the far side of the lake. But I've gotten brilliant shots out here at Sprague Lake before, so I'm not mad about it. This one's definitely not going to match my best shot here, but it's still a pretty nice morning. All right, I'm back to the car after doing that sunrise shoot. Not the most colorful sunrise I've ever seen, but it was a nice morning overall. Got some nice Milky Way shots, and the post-sunrise light was kind of dramatic. It may come out well as a black and white shot. I'll take a look at that. And I also shot some of the wildflowers along the trail walking back to the car. There was quite a few nice colorful flowers along the way. It's been a nice year for flowers. So we're going to wrap it up here. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching.